Hi, my name is Bob Campbell, and this is my presentation on the IEP process. Here we have our color key that kind of details a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today. Green is we're going to go forward to the next step in the process. A red box will indicate we're stopping the process, and blue boxes will just give us further details about certain parts of the process. So our first step in the process is going to be recognition. A student is identified as having atypical needs compared to his or her peers. The second step in the process will be pre-referral. Interventions which have been developed by parent or guardian and the IEP team are utilized. Response to intervention is attempted. Here we branch off. If the intervention is successful, the process stops. If the intervention is unsuccessful, however, we move to the referral process. The next step will be the referral. An adult who understands what the student's abilities are will officially refer a student for special education services. The next step is evaluation. Pending parental consent, assessment tools and various strategies are employed to evaluate the student. These assessments will be used to provide valuable information about the needs of the student. The next step is eligibility. The IEP team will determine if the student is eligible for special education services based upon and pending that the student has a disability which negatively impacts his or her educational performance. It must be determined that the student needs special education services to be put in position to have a successful educational opportunity. We branch off again after eligibility. If no disability is found which directly impacts the student's educational performance, the process will stop, and the student will be referred back for interventions. However, if the student is granted eligibility for special education services based on a disability that has been found to directly impact educational performance, we move on with the IEP process. The next step is the IEP process, where a team which consists of parents, guardians, general and special education teachers and administrators will meet to develop the IEP. During the meeting, the least restrictive environment will be determined. The least restrictive environment is intended to keep students who receive special education services, including the general education classroom, as much as possible, dependent on the severity of the student's disability. So we want to keep the student with general pop as much as possible. Followed by our next step, which is going to be our IEP implementation. Each member of the IEP team is responsible for making sure that the IEP is implemented, which leads us to free and appropriate public education, where every student is required by law under IDEA to receive free and appropriate public education, or FAPE. F is government pays for the education of students with disabilities. A is students who qualify receive an IEP and other services if necessary. P, supervised by the public school. E, students shall receive services such as speech therapy and transportation in order to receive the best educational opportunities he or she is afforded by law. That's what our FAPE is, or free and appropriate public education. Our next step in the process is going to be IEP reevaluation. And every year it's required that the IEP team evaluate the current IEP and develop the following year's IEP. So a little bit of details about reevaluation. There's going to be quarterly progress monitoring, where IDEA states that each student's IEP must contain some form of periodic reports which help to track progress towards the student's annual IEP goals. Basically, we just need to start tracking if the IEP is working, and if it's not, how we can get it to be better so we can better serve our students. We also have a prior written notice, where the school must provide parents with a written notice prior to changing, adding, or denying special education services to the child. And we also have procedural safeguards, which are a written explanation of the rights of the student and his or her parents under both IDEA and the state's laws. This includes the right to participate in any meeting about the child's education and the ability to call an IEP meeting during any time. This is an overall view of the IEP process and idea. Here I provided some references from where I pulled my information. Thank you. Have a good day.